good stuff, and it was the last day. It was a Saturday, and my brother had just finished finals, and so it was a good day. My dad was coming back from Nicaragua, and I was finishing up school, so it was a big day for me because it was first day of summer. All of us were back together. It's kind of a teaser because my brother was headed to Frontier Ranch. I know y'all heard of Frontier Ranch. It's a Young Life camp in Colorado, and but we got a morning together, and my dad wasn't able to be there, but my mom went and grabbed breakfast tacos, and Blake, my brother, it's Blake with the blue shirt, my dad, mom, me, and Blake likes to take long showers, so he was like 45-minute shower. It's pretty funny, and my mom came back, and I was sleeping in, and mom got some breakfast tacos, and or something like that, and we all hung out for like 2 or 3 hours and had a great morning, and it was just really good being together and just spending time together, and we had a good time, and Blake got in the car at about 11 o'clock in the morning and headed out to Frontier with a group of people, and I said bye, cracked some jokes, said I love you, and you were at prom that day, right?
I was at prom that day. I came back from Colorado because I was going to school out in Colorado, and I was doing some landscaping with a buddy of my friend's dad's company, and was just working over the summer and came down to visit my girlfriend who was having her senior prom at Hyde Park High School, and I was ready for an awesome time, ready for a good day, great date, I was gonna take this pretty girl out and have a good time. And I did. We went to dinner. What is that? It's a really good steakhouse downtown. Can't remember the name of it. Has real good pork chops. Definitely recommended. But yeah, after prom, we go back to one of her friends' houses, and after we decide to leave, a friend of hers date asked me that if I want to ride home, and I said yes, and so
You got a ride home?
I got a ride home.
And so it was a pretty good day, and my dad got home from Nicaragua. I think that's where he was, maybe somewhere, but he got home from Nicaragua, and he was there for about 5-10 minutes, and we get a call that my brother had been in a car accident. And at first, wasn't good news, but I wasn't too worried. I just looked at my dad, I was like, let's grab a toothbrush and some things, and let's head over to Waco, that's where it was, and see what's going on. We didn't really know much about the wreck, and we're driving for it's a 2-hour drive or so, and we get there, and we're starting to figure out that this wasn't like a normal wreck, it was pretty bad, and the back left tire had popped and flipped the car, and one girl died on the scene, and Blake had landed on his head, and he was in not a medically induced coma, like a legit coma, and we talked to the doctor, and we didn't, the doctor was like, his brain is going to be swelling, and he took a chunk of his brain out and to save his life, and his brain was swelling, and the hope was that it would stop swelling, and all my friends were at the hospital. It was pretty crazy, so that same night, Gavin's driving home from prom
I'm driving home from prom,
in the
and
passenger seat, just you and the other guy.
me and the other guy. Me and the other guy are in this car together, and he starts going faster and faster, and we're on Mopac, and I'm not really knowing, he's going faster and faster. I'm like, actually, first, let me say this. I was at dinner that night, and I get a call saying, your buddy Blake has been in a car accident. And I remember feeling like, oh, it's gonna be all right. It's my buddy Blake. He's gonna fight through this, and he's gonna, let's see another day. And after dinner, all right, we're like, okay, he's gonna be okay. We're gonna go have a good night. And we'll hope to see him in like the next day, and hey Zach, I get that call from my mom, and she just says, "Be safe tonight. Wear your seatbelt." And I don't normally wear my seatbelt. I've never been one to always wear my seatbelt, even when I should. But that night I did, and he kept on going faster and faster, and ends up we cap out at about 1:30, and he loses control of the car, and hits a tree, and and somehow I don't remember any of the impact or any of that. I just remember waking up, 4 days later after I was in a medically induced coma, and I had a broken tibia, talus, jaw, and pelvis. I had a shattered pelvis. So if you know what your pelvis looks like, it kind of looks like a pretzel. Imagine a pretzel broken in half, and And they had to do 2 blood transfusions on me, which meant I bled out twice. Like I was gone twice, basically. And they had to refill my body with blood so much that like I'm basically pumping, someone else's blood right now. And when I woke up from the hospital, or woke up from that coma, I was just so confused at what happened, and didn't really know until later they moved me to where I was in a more stable condition, and I was able to like gather my thoughts and like really realize what happened. Like I was just so mad and so angry at the world, and I was had so much resentment towards God. Like, why would you do this to me? I'm 19 years old. I'm going to college. Boomer sooner. Sorry. And and I was just so mad, so angry for months and months and months. I've gone through about 3 of these walkers, just throwing things just because I was so mad, and I had so much hatred built up. And then I just realized after a few months gathering my thoughts, I just realized that everyone goes through their own metaphorical, well, at the time I was in a wheelchair. So I was thinking of it, I was like, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm never gonna be that, I'm so focused on wanting to get out of this wheelchair and walk again, that like, I'm never gonna be that person that I was before. And so I had to realize that myself, that I was never going to be the same. And after a few months of gathering my thoughts, I just realized that everyone has their own metaphorical wheelchair in their lives, and everyone has hardships, everyone has things that they're dealing with from a day-to-day basis, whether it be on a much, much smaller scale or a much bigger scale for all I know with you guys, But it could be happening, and I just want y'all to know, like, me and Zach, definitely up here for you guys. If you guys are going through anything that's, hard, or if y'all need to talk to someone, we're here for you guys, because the one thing you can't do is
go through it on your own.
Exactly.
What was the one moment that was the big turning point?
Big turning point for me was when I went outside, and I was just so mad, so angry, and I was done taking these pills to make my leg feel okay, to make me feel normal, that I wasn't in any pain. I was done going to doctor's appointments, I was done going to physical therapy, and I didn't know what to do. And I said, I'm gonna roll out into 71 and call it. And then we're just gonna be done. We're gonna call it a day, and it's gonna be all right. 5-second rule, don't eat that.
Yeah.
And then, I roll outside. I get about to my mailbox, and I just burst out in tears, just crying. God, like, help me. some reason, you know, I just turn my wheelchair around and just roll right back inside, and that's just remember thinking to myself, that could be the most selfish thing I could have ever done. Like, could it be the most selfish thing I've ever done, because I had just been so fortunate enough to get out alive of this crazy car accident, and I had a moment of realization, and after that, I just started digging myself into my Bible as much as I could, knowing that God is preparing me for something crazy in my life, and I just don't know what it is yet, and everything happens for a reason.
So going back to the week at the hospital, was the craziest week of all time. Just found out, to catch you up, both these wrecks were on the same day, and he knew Blake pretty well. It was on May 12th, and so Blake got in a wreck at like 2, and he got in a wreck at like 1 in the morning. Blake was 2 in the afternoon, so it was like 13 hours apart. But Blake was in a wreck in a coma, and like most amazing support I've ever seen. But he passed away on May 19th, 7 days later, and at 19 years old. And he, you can't even describe the emotions that come with that. And went to the viewing, went to the funeral, and like whenever times like this come, you just can't think of anything except sadness and sorrow. And when we buried Blake, that was easily the most miserable and like sad moment of my life by a long shot. Like nothing was even close. And after we bury Blake, we go home, and then we find I'm in my bed in my room for like 4 hours, just miserable. And the strangest thing happens. I hear singing in my room, and I can't figure out what's going on. How could we be singing after something like this? And I go outside, and there's 80 people in my house, and for 4 straight hours, we did nothing but just sing at the top of our lungs, because we had this hope and belief that Blake is fully alive, and that Jesus is real, and it was the strangest combination of joy and the sorrow. And it's like, I just want y'all to know that y'all could have, no matter what you're going through, you could live in freedom at any time, and there's joy in every moment, and you can't avoid the pain. But I want y'all to challenge y'all to believe that God could show up in the craziest of times. But here's an example of let's see if it'll work this time. Here's an example of God really showing up in an unbelievable way at my house. It's not going to play. Did this last period. We'll try it like this. But for 4 straight hours, like 80 people at my house. Started out with some worship songs, and got just pretty mellow, and then we're like, this is as bad as it gets, and after this, we start celebrating Blake's life, and it's crazy. Jim and Cannon, Blake's alive. Tell me if you know. That's my dad right there in the blue shirt. God showing up in the hardest time you can imagine. I don't know what is. And the rest of the summer was so hard you can't even imagine. But at the same time, God showed up in ways that I could have never, ever have thought of. And it still blows me away. I even started writing a book about the impacts that Blake had. We wouldn't know each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, who knows where you would be right now, And like God has used these just awful moments to really bring His glory and life. And whatever you're struggling with, please do a huge favor and go through the goods and bads of life with people. Like, find people you trust and find people that you can talk to and go through life with. And if you don't have anyone you can trust, or you got me and Gavin, and we have Young Life on Monday nights, and y'all can come to that. And there's so many different places y'all can find, but go to God, because we can only do so much. It was one of the most unbelievable things, the support I've ever seen, and God showed up in ways I couldn't even imagine. But talk about after your moment, really saying you needed God, what were the next couple months like up to now? There's been a lot of great things happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first I was telling myself on Monday, I told one of my best buddies, I said, hey, I want to be able to speak. I want to be able to talk in front of people and tell my story and say what's going on. And the next day I go to Bible study, and Zach happens to be there and says, hey, want to speak at FCA at Westlake on Thursday? I said, oh, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's go do it. Let's go, share the word of God. And, just things like that. It's just crazy that can connect people in crazy ways. I wouldn't even be here if I wouldn't have called them that day and been like, hey, I'm going to Bible study tonight. Or I'll be there, all right? Or what time is it at? And it's just nuts. And I've had this is the craziest thing to me. And some guy comes up to my mom, and my mom's this weird dude's trying to hit on me or something. And she comes up to him and says, hey, my archangel's telling me I need to talk to your son. And turns out this dude was all completely genuine and awesome. And this week I'm meeting with him, and we're gonna see what happens with this dude who comes up and just says, hey, I have no idea who I am, no idea about who I am, but just had God come into his mind and say, hey, go talk to this kid's mother and say that you need to talk to his son. And once that happened, I just started crying, because I was it's just so powerful. I didn't know what to, I was for people to be out there like that, and it just blew my mind. And this past week, I've just been, digging into the Bible really hard. And I said a prayer. Well, first I said, hey mom, grab me a Bible. And then second, I said, to God, I just said a quick prayer and said, lead me something that is going to get me through this day and get me through all of this. And that I just flipped through it and just went and stopped. First thing I read, Romans 11, said, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be renewed by the transformation of your mind. And that was just so applicable to my life right now that, I had gone through this life-changing experience, and then God just led me to that passage right then and there, and I just said, all right, I'm following you. I'm going to follow everything you say from now on.
And one of the, I remember you saying this, one of the things, I remember Gavin really was telling me about that stuck with me was talking about struggling with the fact that you were living and Blake passed away.
Yeah.
What was What were you saying about that?
I was saying, well, when Blake passed away and I got the news and I was in better condition and I could actually feel the emotions of it without being numbed by the medications that they were giving me, and I bursted out into tears, just screaming, should have been me, it should have been me, it should have been me, type of deal. And, after meeting and going to Bible studies and talking with Zach and talking with Robbie, my friend, one of my best friends here, and it just reminds me every day to live live like Blake. And I'm just trying to live like he does and live through him as much as I can every day. And that's why yesterday, you want to tell them what we did yesterday? Just show them, throw up the...
Yeah, we'll show them. So the two things, the reason I asked that question is it leads into this. The two things that were a really big deal is a month before Blake passed away, he was going to be a Young Life leader. And he said in his talk he wrote a paper why he wanted to do Young Life. And he said, I've been given the greatest gift I could be possibly given, eternal life. And I want to share that with as many people as I can during my life. And said that April 1st, passed away May 19th, and it's kind of like what Gavin is saying, we want to carry on that legacy, and obviously it's not easy to deal with, but we've been, and also my friend Tim Fells, we made this agreement that we're going to go live this year, and we're going to go to God for joy, and this is that quote that I just told you, that Blake said. I got that quote and I repeated it like as many times as I needed, and I made Blake's face out of it. And it's a representation of what our mission is. We're gonna. It's like Blake's in a good place, and I'm happy for him, but we miss him at the same time. And the point of this is, anything you're going through. If you're going through something hard, don't surround yourself, don't listen to sad music all the time, or don't get down, just try and surround yourself with what is good and what is true, and surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you and bring you life, because whatever you're going through, God can show up, and he showed up in the worst of situations that I could imagine for both of us, and have community. And a fun little thing of community we did is we have these 98 tattoos, because Blake was born in 1998, and he was being really dumb one day and got a stick and poke tattoo of a 98 on his finger. And so when he got it, we made fun of him like crazy because it was such a dumb tattoo, and it was on his ring finger, his wedding ring finger. And he didn't realize that till after he got the tattoo. And so we made fun of him. We said, at least he'll never forget when he was born. He could just look and remind himself. But we all, when the wreck happened, all of us ended up getting a tattoo, and now 34 people have it. And Gavin actually was the 34th person. He got it yesterday. This is less than 24 hours ago.
Dude, how was it? Hurts so bad. Dude, let's see it. Oh. Woo!
It didn't hurt that bad.
Yeah,
It's all right.
Yeah,
Got through.
the point of this and the hope of this is that not to bring y'all down and make y'all sad, but to bring y'all hope that God could show up in the hardest situations. And I'm not saying that it's not going to be hard. It's still hard. Still crazy hard for me. Still crazy hard for Gavin. Gavin did just take his first steps the other day.
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. 9 months later.
Yeah, 9 months later.
How did that happen?
Well, I was with my this kid named Robbie, and we were just hanging out one night, and I had my walker, and I was just, minding my own business, and then he just yanks it away from me and says, "Walk." And I said, "You know what? All right, I'm gonna do it." And I started walking towards him, and then we have 3 of my buddies that are in the house too, and I start walking towards them, and everyone's just like going nuts, like it was just like, and I was like, don't knock me over, please, but like it was fun, and yeah, it was a pretty special moment for all of us to share that together.
Because they said it was gonna be 18 months, right?
Yeah, they said about 2 years that it was gonna take me, and I said nah.
Nah, 9 months. Show me your battle wound.
Oh yeah, I can show you because I creeped out by it. But I got a little battle wound right there. That's about it. It's just a scratch.
Just a little dent.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, there's just been so many good things. I sat down with Robbie Zudok yesterday, this man, and we talked for like, I felt like we barely talked about anything. We didn't even scratch the surface. We talked for like an hour and a half about just things about Blake and things that God has done. And it was crazy how long we talked and how little we talked about compared to how much there was. And I definitely find people and also dig into the Word. And we'll end the speech right now. We could all hang out for a little bit and talk if y'all want. But on the way out, you have one more thing. On the way out, though, there's a bag over there, and it has these bracelets, and it says the greatest gift on it. We're representing Blake's quote, "I've been given the greatest gift, eternal life," and has Make It Count, and 98 to represent Blake, and RBR, because his name's Robert Blake Rodgers. And if you want to grab one on the way out, grab one and keep it and remember it. And yeah, what you gonna end on?
Just gonna end on this, guys. I can't put this on you guys and girls enough that I want you to go, whatever you guys are going through in your life right now, whatever's happening, could be school, could be something, whatever you're stressed about. Turn your mess into a message. Turn something bad into something good, and try and look at it from a different perspective. I know that's hard to say, oh, this is something bad, I'm just gonna look at it good. But after a few months of gathering my thoughts, I looked at it a whole completely different way and started not focusing so much on the goal and started focusing on the process and enjoying the process of getting better. And so I want you guys just to know that if you guys have a mess or anything in your life, I want you guys to try your best to just turn it into something. Turn it into a message. See if God's trying to tell you something. And if He is, then follow Him.
We'll have
Thank you.
my man Robbie pray us out again.
Yeah.